What is up everyone, and welcome to this part of the video. Long story short, I was recording and I was in the middle of practice and my PC crashed. So we're here, and you're just going to have to do without practice. We've got all the development boosts and stuff. This is in fact the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I know you're very disoriented at the moment most likely, but that's okay. Hopefully we can ease into it. Yeah, I lost all the practice footage. It's okay. I don't really usually show much of that anyway. But just to give you a rundown of everything that happened, I got P12 in practice. The pace was pretty good. I think we've got a good chance in the race of doing quite well. We're now in a rivalry with Lewis Hamilton instead of Fernando Alonso. The options were him or Russell, so I thought he's doing worse in the championship at the moment to my knowledge, so I'd go for him. We got an engine upgrade from Renault, as in like a supplier upgrade, and we also did the Spec 2 upgrade for build time with the aerodynamics. So yeah, we've only done a few things. That was pretty much the sort of summary of everything that's happened. You saw all the development boosts fly past there, and yeah, basically all I want this time around is a better race than we had last season. I was pootling around at the back like an idiot. I don't know if you saw there, but we actually do not have the slowest car any longer. We're now the second slowest car, which is nice. You see I just caught it out the corner of my eye, and now we're going to look at the progress history to confirm it. We're actually very, very close to Williams and Aston Martin as well, so we have a real shot of being very competitive in this race. I have a feeling we're definitely potentially on for some points if they've also fixed the issue that plagued us last year with the cars just breezing past on the ultra long final straight of Baku. I know it's technically got a corner in it, but you take it flat out, so I call it a straight. And yeah, that's pretty much the story of this weekend. Time to get into qualifying now, and hopefully we can have a pretty good qualifying session. If we can make it to sort of the fringes of Q2 and maybe into Q3, we've been on a pretty big Q3 hot streak lately, excluding Spain, and I guess Melbourne as well, which Spain was my fault, but if I hadn't have made a mistake on pace, I probably could have made it into Q3, I reckon. And then the same with Melbourne, I reckon that probably could have happened. And then obviously Miami, we had the P2, Jeddah, we had the P4, China, we had the P4, Monaco, we were, I think, P9. No, we were P11 in Monaco, weren't we? But we started P10 because of a penalty. So never mind. But either way, we have a real chance of making it into Q3 again, I think. And getting P10 in Q1 marks out my intentions for this weekend, I guess. Overall, Alonso was actually fastest, which quite surprised me. But maybe the Alpine is a rocket ship in a straight line, as they say. Fittipaldi, not on the back row for a change, which is quite nice to see. Up into P20, so hopefully he can maybe be a bit competitive in the race if there's perhaps some carnage, which there quite frequently is in a place like this. There was a surprisingly little amount of carnage in the race itself last season. It all kind of came in practice and qualifying. There were lots of cars crashing out of those sessions, but then when it came to the race, everyone behaved themselves, which was unfortunate for us because it meant that we just kind of, yeah, strolled around at the back for no real reason. Here we are now on my second flying lap of Q2, this is now, and I think I did the first one on a set of used tyres, so I'm hoping I can make some gains as we go into Q3 now. Already this is better than last season. I'm pretty sure we qualified dead last or not far off last season, and we just got totally embarrassed. But you know, they've addressed some of the issues with the game. I've addressed some of the issues with my driving. I've improved my setups. You know, everything has sort of turned into this perfect storm of we have a real chance to do a lot better this year, and I hope we can capitalise on that. And I see no reason why we shouldn't be able to if everything goes well. But first and foremost, we need to improve out of P16. Obviously, we did a used set run on our first run, as we so often do. Although I have actually, I think recently started opting for balanced tyre allocation, which means I now come into a qualifying session with 4 sets of softs instead of 3. The only real difference is that now I can do my first run in Q1 on a fresh set of softs instead of a fresh set of mediums. and that's pretty much it. So I just have one extra set of softs and one less set of hards for qualifying, because why would you want hards in qualifying anyway? So we're about 8/10 up as we come to the final sort of bit. I think we're slowly improving. We must have had a better exit from a corner or something, because we keep making up thousandths here and there, but it's not going to make too much of a difference now. Will it be enough to make us into Q2? Or Q3 rather? Yeah, just about. It's P10 by the skin of our teeth, probably, I imagine. Teeths? Skins of our teeth? No one says that plural. Yeah, we made it through by less than a tenth. If we'd have been a tenth slower, if we'd have been slightly more than a tenth slower, we could have been P13 quite easily. But we knock out Gasly and Tsunoda, which is good, because those are some of the people we're competing with. And also Ocon, who's on Alpine, who we're competing with also. So yeah, as far as rivalries go, it's just Hamilton and Alonso that I really have to worry about now, as we progress into the final qualifying session, Q3. And yeah, we'll see what kind of fuss we can kick up. Come across the line on our first flying lap. I believe this was on a used set of softs as well. This was a 1:41.6, so sort of similar pace to the pace I was lapping around in Q2 on the used set. But then we have a look here on our second flying lap. We're on a fresh set of softs, and you see I'm massively improving over where I was. We're actually probably on track to get into the 1:39s here if we keep improving. 1.6 seconds up on a 1:41.6. It's going to be very close if it's not a 1:39. It's 1:40.003, I think it was in the end, and it's good enough for P5. I really pulled out an amazing lap towards the end of qualifying there. I was immensely proud of that. And yeah, really solid solid final lap in qualifying.
Perez, Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. With qualifying complete, all that remains now is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Look how close it was between me and the Mercedes. Literally 1/10 between me, Hamilton and Russell. Really exciting. And we're starting alongside our, well, not championship rival, but our rival on the grid in the race. So that no doubt will bring some excitement if he can. If he gets a better start than me, which all too often does happen due to the nature of this game, we'll probably be wheel to wheel going into turn 1, I imagine, and that could be immensely exciting. Hopefully we don't take each other out, but you know, if we can have a nice battle throughout the race, that would be sort of the ideal scenario there. All in all, not a bad qualifying performance. Very solid P5. You know, I've had qualifying there or thereabouts in the past. That's sort of around where I qualify best. Obviously there was the fluky P2 in Miami, but apart from that, we've done pretty well to get that kind of position. Just an email from Mark now saying that there might be some light rain towards the end of the race, but hopefully it comes just a bit too late to affect us. And now we'll get into the race.
Heart of Baku and home, of course, to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today. So our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully out of the barriers. With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku City Circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1 lead into a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. It's Sergio Perez on pole today, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Norris, Robinson and Hamilton, Russell, Verstappen, Ricciardo and Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Ocon, Yuki Tsunoda and Magnussen, Joe, Stroll, Sebastian Vettel and Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Fittipaldi, Albon and Robert Schwartzman. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And with me as usual is Anthony Davidson. Now, I want to ask you about Lando Norris. That was a great win in the last race, but can they keep that momentum going into this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs, so it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
Yep, so no penalties further up. The further up the grid you go, the less likely you are to gain a position due to people being penalised. It's just the law of how it works, at least until you get into the later races when everyone's taking penalties. But then again, the further through the seasons you get, the more unlikely that is going to be as well. So, yeah, I think, honestly, one bold prediction I do have for this season is that at some point I think we'll be in a very good chance to win a race. If a lot of people take penalties in a future race, maybe somewhere like Singapore or something like that, I think we have a shot. But anyway, we're lining up on the grid now. We'll see if we can slot in nicely into the grid to contend with Norris. We just overshoot it a tiny bit, and now we are in a bit of a predicament. We need to wait for the grid to line up, and then we're going to have to really get a good start if we want to contend with the cars around us. You can see Hamilton is already red on my indicator, whereas Norris is not. So yeah, we really need to get a good launch here if we want to go. The lights come on, the lights go out, and here we go. It's a pretty good start given that we're on the same tyres as Norris. Norris has been having some really poor starts whenever I've been near him, like he did in Miami as well. I jumped him off the line. What I did not expect was that I would go around the outside of Carlos Sainz as well. He fights me back a little bit, but I'm going to go around the outside on this corner as well. There's just about room for both of us. And now I'm going to be absolutely burning this battery the whole way to the end of this straight to keep ahead of him, because we are in fact in a podium place. This was not something I expected off the line, but I'm more than happy to take it, because you know, the more points that we can get, the more points that we can grab ahead of AlphaTauri and Alpine and the other teams that we're competing with in this championship. And Lord knows we need them, because you know, we do have a few good races for me coming up, as I mentioned in the previous video, but then after we come back from the mid-season break, we have a few of my weaker races in quick succession, like Zandvoort, Singapore, Japan. All of those races will come up, and that's not going to be a fun time of the season for me. But yeah, pretty good start all in all. We managed to keep Sainz behind for now, but he probably will close us down in the main straight. We're going to have to burn all of our battery to keep him there, I imagine. But then once he gets DRS, I think we'll probably settle back into a more natural racing rhythm, shall we say. Hamilton seems to have also jumped Lando Norris off of the start, so yeah, that's unfortunate for him to go from P4 to P6 at the beginning of the race. But Hamilton up one place, me up 2 places, Sainz down a place, and Perez and Leclerc have stayed as they are. If I hold these guys up for too long, Perez and Leclerc will probably check out of this race, but we'll try not to make that happen. But you can see they've already broken DRS to me within a second. My car's just not made for these times. It still needs to be faster in a straight line. Here we are now on lap 2, riding on board with Carlos Sainz, and as we come in towards the final sector, you can see he pulls over to the side, and I guess he has some kind of gearbox issue or something like that, because I don't see any smoke, and it's unfortunate for him, but I was more than happy to take that, because Lord knows I don't want to have to deal with the pressure of the cars behind me. Here we are now, lap 5, and Lewis Hamilton has closed up to the back of me enough to try and overtake me. And I think we're just going to have to bide our time. We give him a couple nudges up the backside. Doesn't destroy our front wing, at least not a visible amount, an amount that's going to make a tangible difference to our downforce or anything like that. We should be okay. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Hopefully we can stay with him, because the more positions we lose, the more likely it is that we're going to, you know, fall out of sort of the P5 range in the Constructors' Championship, which is what we're aiming for at the moment. I don't really give a crap about where I finish in the drivers. I just want to maximise the amount of money that we get from the Constructors' Championship to upgrade our car as best we can, but we'll worry about that when we get to it. We have a bit of a battle with Lando Norris there, but we just about managed to keep him behind for now, and actually Ricciardo has managed to jump him as a result of me holding up Norris, and I've broken the DRS to both of them in that period, so I'm more than happy to take that. Now here we are, lap 11, and you see that we're coming into the pits. I think we're going on to hard compound tyres. It's a medium hard strategy, so we'll see if it works out. We're pitting a couple laps earlier than initially planned, but the tyres were getting pretty worn, so I thought I should see if I can maybe get an undercut on the cars around me. You know, Norris, Hamilton unfortunately came in on the same lap as me, but if I can undercut the likes of Norris and Ricciardo and people like that. I think Ricciardo's actually already come into the pits, and you can see that based on the fact that he's right alongside me as we come out of the pits, and he's going to go for a move up the inside, and he forces me almost into the wall. We have a almost Raikkonen Ocon-esque moment, but we managed to get away with it for now. But that's definitely going to lose us time to the cars ahead, so it's quite an unfortunate circumstance. He's going to have another go at the end of the second straight, but we just about managed to keep him behind. Now here we are at the end of lap 12, and you see a few more of the cars around us coming in. Russell, Verstappen, Norris, Ricciardo's having another go around our outside. I'm not really interested, but it does mean that we've lost a couple of places off the back of that incident with Ricciardo to Verstappen and Norris. So annoying, but what can you do? You just have to kind of roll with the punches and see what happens. Still halfway through this race. There's a long way to go if I can catch up to the back of them, as they're being held up by, I think that's actually my teammate Enzo Fittipaldi. So that's it's nice to see the camaraderie there. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough. I've fallen out of DRS range again, but I have dropped Alonso and Ricciardo quite significantly. Maybe Ricciardo got a bit of damage from that contact. I think Hamilton and Norris are battling away in front of me, and Verstappen's kind of getting caught up in that as well. And Norris sails straight into the barrier at the end of that particular corner, and there's a safety car.
We need you to reduce your pace. It looks like there's a high amount of debris on the track. Be careful.
So this plays beautifully into our hands, because now we're back within range of Verstappen and Hamilton, and I'm not too fussed about Alonso and Ricciardo behind. I wasn't really being troubled by them too much. I was dropping them before. I see no reason why I should not be able to drop them again. And Lando Norris has been disqualified, and I wonder why that is. Let's see if we can shine a light on this. So that was the contact into the wall. You see he's missing a front wing. He ghosts momentarily here, and then his car becomes material once again. And then he just decides not to go. I'm not sure if there were cars coming past all the time or something that meant he couldn't, but yeah, he's just staying here, not looking like he's in the mood to go anywhere. His car was still working. You can see that there's sort of something going on at the back of his car, and then eventually he takes on an incorporeal form once again, and that was the end of his race. It's an unfortunate way for him to go, championship leader. Now the safety car is coming in, and we're kind of doing to Verstappen what he likes to do to other cars on a safety car restart, a move which I think has actually been banned in real life but is not banned in the game, and that enables us to make up a very easy place on him. We go for a dive bomb on Lewis Hamilton there, and now we are back into the podium positions. What an awesome move to make. I was a bit cheeky with the sort of techers on Verstappen that I pulled off, but I'm not sure that he's going to mind too much, you know what I mean? He does it to everyone, so I think it's only fair that someone does it back to him. And perhaps if the game didn't want people doing it, they would code in the modern rule on that. Either way, we're going to have a real challenge holding up Hamilton and Verstappen behind us, because they are mighty quick, definitely quicker than us. I think we're still looking at maybe a P5 finish in this race around where we started, but they're battling away behind me, and that's going to allow me to sort of make good my escape whilst they're squabbling, and we know they like to squabble. We've seen it happen before. I've already dropped them by almost 2 seconds, and they're still going at it. I think Alonso and Russell are kind of involved in the fight there as well, so we'll see what happens there. I think Ocon is getting sort of mixed up in that as well, and I go a bit wide there because I'm so focused on what's going on my mini map. I almost don't want to look away. But yeah, all this squabbling has allowed me to drop Hamilton by 2.5 seconds, and now we come towards the final lap, and you see that they never really recovered after that. I was just able to pull away, and the cars ahead were pulling away. Perez was pulling away from Leclerc. It was very much processional after the safety car restart, honestly, which is not something you typically expect, especially at a circuit like Baku. I thought there might be more carnage, But yeah, it's Hamilton 4th, and then Alonso and Ocon make up 5th and 6th. So I think Alpine are on for 18 points, and I'm only on for 15. So they are actually going to outscore us in this race, despite the fact that I'm going to get the podium and neither of them are. This actually was a stronger weekend for them, just by virtue of us only really having one car in the championship. I know Fittipaldi got that P6 finish at China, obviously, but apart from that, that's pretty much all he's been able to do. And now we come round to start the final straight with the final quote-unquote corner. And yeah, I don't think there's any catching us for Lewis Hamilton. Perez is going to cross the line any second to win the Azerbaijan Grand Prix for what will be the 2nd time in his career. Leclerc takes a deserved P2, and we cross the line for another podium finish this season, and this time it's a P3.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
Ocon grabs driver of the day, to be expected. I think he started outside of the points and he finished 6th. He was on a good strategy.
And so ends another Azerbaijan Grand Prix. A fascinating race and a well-deserved victory. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here.
So yeah, it ends up Perez P1, Leclerc P2, myself P3. 2nd podium finish of the season, and something I think we could be very proud of, because I mean, I think regardless of what happens for the rest of the season now, if we suddenly tank developmentally and are pootling around at the back for the rest of the season, I still think we'll finish in a better position than we were last season. Obviously I don't want that to happen. I want to continue being competitive for the whole season, but I'm pretty happy with the progress that we've made so far, and I hope it continues.
After this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the Drivers' Table. And in the Drivers' Championship, the points that Sergio Perez earned today see him take over the lead. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Let's give it to Esteban Ocon. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. Meanwhile, Alpine move up the table with another strong performance this weekend. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
So yeah, Sergio Perez takes the lead of the drivers' standings, and it's kind of emerging into a 4-way fight now, especially with Verstappen and Norris picking up no points in that race. I don't know if I mentioned, but basically what happened with Verstappen is when he was dueling with Hamilton, I think he got damaged and he had to pit. So yeah, it is now 17 points between the top 4, with Perez leading it, Verstappen 2nd, Norris 3rd, and then Leclerc just a couple points behind him in 2nd. And then I'm 5th, amazingly, but I'm not really in the championship fight. The fact that I'm even there is amazing enough. Alpine have jumped AlphaTauri in the Constructors, which I think is to be expected. I don't know if AlphaTauri are going to really be a legitimate competitor for that P5, because that win that they got, I don't know what happened in that race, but from what I saw, it seemed very fluky and the kind of thing that might not have happened if I hadn't retired from the race and there'd been that pile up behind me. But we'll never know for certain. Maybe Gasly, Stroll and Tsunoda did just finish in the top 3 on pure pace, and Fittipaldi finished 6th on pure pace, but somehow I doubt it anyway. Either way, this has been a really action-packed season so far, really interesting storylines, a lot more interesting than last season, so I hope that you've all been enjoying it as well. Here's the contact with Ricciardo again. We can see who was at fault here. Yeah, that's 100% Ricciardo. Switches to the inside at the last minute, brakes a little bit late and just taps me. Absolutely nothing I could have done. Here's that safety car restart again, and we can see it from a wider angle. This was really fun to do. just kind of sail past Verstappen immediately on the restart and then dive up the inside of Hamilton. You can see my front wing is a bit wrecked there. I don't know if I had... that might be from when I was shunting Hamilton before, but it didn't cause any loss of downforce or anything like that, so I was more than happy to take that contact for marginal gains. Yeah, just overall really solid result. Another podium finish. If we can grab a few more, maybe even a win, that would be like amazing, and definitely would oh, I think I must have hit the wall there. I didn't notice that in in the actual race, but that sounded like I tagged the wall there. Yeah, if we can mark out P5 in the constructors, I don't think we're getting any higher than that. I think the other 4 teams are just a bit too far ahead, but that would be like the ideal scenario. P5, I don't know how much you get for that, but it would definitely allow us to upgrade our facilities enough to contend with the cars ahead of us. The one thing we really don't want is for our development to stagnate, because we can't afford to upgrade our facilities to be able to get the Spec 3 upgrades, which all too often happens in these career modes. We get all of the sponsor targets. I get all of my damage deductions probably for the shunts, and Enzo also seemed to have a lot of collisions. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. Next up's the Canadian Grand Prix, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.